守るのは君だ。ドラマチック RPG マジックナイトレイアース。
Okay then. So, for those of you who don't know, Magic Knight Rayearth tells the tale of 3 schoolgirls who are summoned to a mystic land to rescue a sorceress who is being held captive by a imperialistic force. From what I understand, the game covers, I think, the first half of the story. There are 2 halves of it. And from what I'm told, it is a very faithful adaptation of it. It's also brought to life pretty well. I like the chibi character models. The animated cutscenes are, of course, well done. And it was nice that they were able to use so many assets from the anime adaptation for the game in order to better represent the anime. Graphics are pretty good too. Again, I do really like the chibi style that they have for the characters in-game. The environments are nice, and there can be a lot of action going on screen at once, so it is pretty well done, all things considered. As for the gameplay, it's an action RPG in the vein of something like the original Zelda games or the Mana series, in that you still have RPG elements in that you level up over time, but it isn't turn-based, so it happens on a 2B field. You have to explore the levels to make your way through them. There's a lot of dialogue, a lot of puzzles, stuff like that. But there are some interesting characteristics that make it stand out. For starters, you can play as one of the 3 main characters who each have their own weapons and abilities that make them better suited to certain combat situations. The other thing is that instead of your character's abilities leveling up as you play the game, they instead level up with the narrative. I mean, after all, it is happened to adapt an anime storyline. But it does mean that the game is more railroaded than other RPGs, which is going to disappoint some people. Outside of health upgrades and your magic reserves, there isn't a whole lot that you can do in the game to really choose how to build your character. But still, it is a fun, competently made game and a decent adaptation for the anime. As for the American release, Sega commissioned it to be done by Working Designs, who actually had a really good track record with this sort of thing. They put a bunch of games out on the Sega Saturn and Sega Genesis, and they would put out several games on the Sega Saturn as well. However, Magic Knight Rayearth turned out to be a very ambitious undertaking for them, and as a result, the game would be delayed 3 years, and by the time it came out, interest in the Saturn was basically nada. Sega had all but abandoned ship, and so had most of the consumers as well. So, unfortunately, Magic Knight Rayearth would be the last game to be released stateside, and because of that, it's risen to stupidly high prices, though it's not anywhere near as sought after as something like Panzer Dragoon Saga. And you can always import the game from Japan and, patch the English version in. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. There's a lot of work you have to do if you want to explore the Saturn library, which is a little disappointing. But yeah, Magic Knight Rayearth, decent game on the console, recommended, especially if you're a fan of the anime, which I am not, so I apologize if this review is less enthusiastic. Anyway, join me tomorrow as we look at the next game on our list.